What a wild ride already this morning, Andrew, courtesy the Socceroos.
The world of football too, by the way, where China played Japan today. I was just looking at vision of a Chinese person was arrested before the game between China and Japan because he was wearing a Japanese top. He's being escorted away by police because he's wearing the Japan top. Wow. Andy Harper is with us. We love having Andy on the program. I don't think there's a smarter man in the world of football than Andy Harper. There you go. There's a declaration. I think he is... He's brains from Thunderbirds.
I second
that. You second that, Andy Harper. There's your intro, Andy. How do you feel about that?
I bet you say that to all the boys, Vossy.
Smartest man in football. Smartest man in the world of football. In the world of football. And that is why we have you on this morning to describe what the hell happened.
Oh God! You need a smarter man. You need a smarter man than me to explain it. It was ridiculous, just ridiculous. I mean, it was a very ordinary game generally. First half in particular, it barely broke a sweat. Yengi scored after 38 seconds with an error from Jaber in the Bahrain defence, sort of set the tone for the game, and then it just freakishly exploded, and Australia are on the cusp of losing the unlosable. And my God, pencils were sharpened. Obituaries were being prepared for this quite disastrous performance and pending result, and then they pulled it out of the fire. And then the referee didn't play all the time that he said he was going to. So the Socceroos were pretty agitated towards the end that they didn't get the full complement of time to try and correct the mess that they'd made for themselves.
Andy, let's take a listen to the way that Bahrain took the lead with goals in the 75th and then this one in the 77th minute.
Oh, and that might even creep in. It is 2-1. Goodness me. Absolute catastrophe for Australia. 2 goals in 2 minutes. It's Mahdi Abdul-Jabbar again, who's come off the bench to score twice.
Just how bad were those couple of minutes for the Australians?
Well, they came from nowhere. I mean, well, that's not completely true. It was bad. More pointed to answer your question. It was bad. It was like blood drains out of your cheeks bad. It was like the whites of your eyes just go this cringing yellow colour. It's like, what the hell? It's like watching Beetlejuice on steroids. What the hell's going on here? A freakish goal. Congratulations to Jabbar for the intuition, the innovation to score. But Bahrain were improved in the second half. They had a little bit more energy about them. They were just so woeful in the first half. It was like that. They're not going to win a game in against the Tibba 12-year-olds. But the second half, they put a bit more in it. And Australia, it's too cautious for me. And you get yourself into this position then, where in football, like no other sport actually, the game can turn from nothing, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose.
All right, we were lucky enough to have Jeff from Blaxland call us in on our open line, Andy, and as good as I've built you up this morning, Jeff's description of the second goal is just a wonderful piece of radio, possibly our best of the year. Have a listen.
It was fair dinkum kindergarten stuff. It was lucky not to be an own goal. The Bahrain crossed the ball in. The Aussie defender went to head it. It's come off his head, eaten Matt Ryan, hit the post, and then the guy from Kuwait just tapped it in virtually. So, like I said, it was a comedy of errors.
Kuwait, don't matter. It's Morgan Freeman areas, Jeff's description. It was spine-tingling, Andy. And we were getting that because that was our reaction, getting the description of the goal. Rather than some live commentary, we had Jeff of Blaxland, very luckily. It was brilliant stuff.
Yeah, well, I poignantly so too, Vossy. Poignantly so. It was look, Hayden Matthews, young Sydney FC defender. He only started playing A-League halfway through last A-League season. 20-year-old. He's had however many A-League games this season, 4 or 5. I can't even count. And all of a sudden, he gets thrown into a World Cup qualifier away from home. But he's not to be hung out to dry for that. I mean, the cross in a rare moment of quality from Bahrain had a fair bit on it. His instinct was to try and head the ball clear. And it just deflected off his head onto that post. Matt Ryan stranded, and Mahdi Jabbar was there for the tap-in. In 2 minutes, mate, the whole world turned on that axis. It was crazy stuff. And Australia, Oh, and you're watching the game, you're thinking, well, how the hell are we in this pile of poo? It's crazy. Somehow they found a way out of it.
Andy, our listener loves your take this morning. Obituaries being prepared. Great stuff, writes Western Sydney. Beetlejuice, ha, ha, ha. Andy's on fire. Pile of poo, love it, says another person on the text line. Cassini Yengi. Andy, the 96th minute goal. How about we have a listen to the way that Australia levelled, then I'll get your take on the performance of Cassini Yengi.
O'Neill into the box, Barello at the back post, still there for Yengi! 2-2, Cassini Yengi, who scored in the first minute of the game, has now scored in stoppage time to perhaps give Australia at least a share of the spoils.
We see him for Portsmouth in the Championship. Thankfully, we saw him a couple of times with decisive plays for the Socceroos this morning, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, Cassini is scoring for the Socceroos. He's not playing for Portsmouth. He's found the going a bit tough recently. But, such has been Australia's situation without being able to score goals. And Cassini has proven he can do it. So my view on him in this, the short sample size we've got to digest is sort of two things, and the most important is his scoring. It really doesn't matter. You've got to have someone banging the goals away, and in between the goals today, he was pretty ineffective, unfortunately. He might have scored another couple, but generally, in a general football sense, to me, is not doing enough as a centre forward. But that impulse is completely subsumed by my joy that there's someone scoring goals for the national team. It's been a problem for ages. If Cassini Yengi can grow into that space, then all power to him, mate, because sometimes, and some of the great goal scorers in the world of football, men's and women's, have been largely anonymous footballers, except when the ball gets in the box and they do their thing. If that's going to be Cassini Yengi, mate, write your own headlines, boy. Go for it.
Tim's on the text. He says, can I just get a number for Bryden's lawyers again? I want to pass it on to the Tibooburra under-12s. You've defamed and belittled the Tibooburra under-12s in this report too, Andy. Now, also in the big picture of this qualifying group, the Indonesian result 2-0 over Saudi Arabia. Did you see that coming at all?
I did. Well, I didn't see it coming. Although, actually, Indonesia have been pretty good. They lost 4-0 against Japan, but for the first 35 minutes, had a couple of really good chances when it was 0-0 to score and break clear, but couldn't. So, with relative status, it's a surprise. With the ladder position, as congested as it is, Indonesia were propping up the table, and no one really thought they were going to do it against Saudi, who aren't firing either. If that's any consolation for Australia. But this was a game of football. If you can get onto your Paramount Plus and have a look at Saudi versus Indonesia, this was a game of football, mate. The Indonesians were absolutely fantastic. The Saudis had a crack as well. It was on the edge of your seat stuff, that one. That was a wonderful exhibition of World Cup qualifying football. And as it turned out, or as it was looking, the Indonesians do that to Saudi Arabia, get themselves into equal second spot. And with a few minutes to go, Bahrain had second place. All theirs. All theirs. You couldn't make this stuff up. It was ridiculous. And thankfully, Cassini Yengi got that equaliser to bring a little bit more sanity back into the discussion. But, God, it was a strange morning.
So we take 1 point from a possible 6 against Bahrain. Who knows what price we'll pay for that after the next qualifiers coming in March and June. Andy, great to have you on the show as always.
Yeah,
love your
good
insight, your turn of phrase, your passion. You are welcome here anytime. Thanks for joining us this morning.
You only have to call, mate, and I'll be there. Thanks very much.
Good man. Paramount Australia is your home ground for A-League action this weekend, live and exclusive on 10 Bold, 10 Play and Paramount Plus. It comes back at us. Of course, we had the little break from the A-League, but we do have a derby, Sydney FC and Wanderers this Saturday, do we not? So that's all coming up. Andy Harper is great on football. Robert Craddock is the equivalent on cricket, and we're going to come at the cricket, which gets underway on Friday, the first test against India. We're going to come at it from all angles after 8 o'clock right here on Breakfast with Vossy and Brandy, here for Bryden's Lawyers. They've got to mention in the segment, if you need legal help, Tibooburra under 12s, the number is 1-800-848-848.